This woman is so power hungry that she's willing to tank her entire city. That's what's going to happen too. She'll tank the entire city. Everybody's going to leave. Nobody's going to want to do business there, but she doesn't care. No. She's like, hey, sometimes it takes a woman to get it done. Oh my gosh, watch.
4 days after a judge ordered Donald Trump to pay $355 million for a decade of fraud, New York Attorney General Letitia James says she's prepared to do everything she can to make sure the former president pays his fine, including, she told us, seizing the buildings that bear his name.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
4 days after a judge ordered Donald Trump to pay $355 million for a decade of fraud, New York Attorney General Letitia James says she's prepared to do everything she can to make sure the former president pays his fine, including...
wow. How do you like that? Does it seem like the America you know? Seem like the America you know and love and grew up in? You just have a rabid political prosecutor out there saying, I want to make my career and I'm going to make my career by bankrupting Donald Trump. The great news here is, and I told you about this yesterday, he's got this windfall. We'll see if it holds. But right now, look, that SPAC deal, the acquisition of Trump's social media companies would be Truth Social through this SPAC deal, this merger between another company and Trump's social media companies, which according to sort of current valuations, puts him somewhere around $4 billion in equity that he has, assuming that this valuation holds. It's going to take 6 months before he can actually cash out. But wow, right? It's just actually really fantastic to see, because it's like, no matter how hard they try, and they're trying, believe me, they're trying. No matter how hard they try, you cannot keep a man like him down. No way. But Letitia's trying. Trust me. Here she is again.
Trump was held liable for exaggerating his wealth and inflating the value of his real estate so banks would give him low-interest loans. Trump insisted the banks liked doing business with him.
They said no victim. No one got harmed. The banks got paid back. So no harm, no foul. Why is that not the case in your view?
So financial frauds are not victimless crimes. He engaged in this massive amount of fraud, and it wasn't just a simple mistake, a slight oversight. The variations were wildly exaggerated, and the extent of the fraud was staggering.
Trump said the penalty against him would drive other businesses out of New York.
We'll appeal, we'll be successful, I think, because frankly, if we're not successful, New York State is gone.
But the state's attorney general told us she's not worried.
And last I checked, tourism is up and Wall Street is doing just fine.
Wow. Well, Wall Street can be anywhere, Letitia. I hate to tell you that. You know what? Whole bunch of jobs have moved because nobody actually needs to trade on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. All it is a set for CNBC. Guaranteed. I used to do my show from there. There are no traders there. You have a couple of bodies. So Letitia doesn't understand that. She doesn't understand economics. I don't think she really understands the law because, property laws are kind of important. And I'll tell you this, she definitely doesn't understand this whole issue of somebody actually losing out. It doesn't make any sense. In other words, Donald Trump said, I think my property's worth this. And he applied for a loan and he used his properties basically as collateral. Think about it like when you get a home equity line of credit and you say, okay, I'm going to tell the bank my house is worth this. And the bank's going to say, okay, great. But you know what? We're going to send somebody over to make sure that your house is worth that, because we're not going to give you this loan if you think it's worth that and we think it's worth this. So they had a commonality, an agreement. Donald Trump and Deutsche Bank, his bankers, were like, oh yeah, we think this is worth this and we think that you're a worthwhile credit risk. And so we're going to lend you the money and you're going to pay us back with interest, which is exactly what happened. So then I just would ask, where's the victim? You're going to do this to hold up an example? That's what they're saying. Oh, this is going to be a great example to people everywhere. Are you kidding? All you're going to do, Letitia James, is make sure that no developer ever wants to do any business in the state of New York, the city of New York, or any business for that matter. I mean, why would you? Think about it. If you're on the wrong side of a political issue, they can come right after you. And think about this for a second. You know, Donald Trump is at least in a fortunate enough position. He's got the Truth Social thing going on. He'd be a pretty good credit risk, I would think. But if you're somebody who doesn't have $354 million hanging around, then you're going to actually force them to sell assets in a kind of fire sale. So that strikes me as no different than what you see in places like Venezuela. In fact, Hugo Chavez did it. It's like, oh, I think I want that. I want that golf course over there. Let me just take it because I'll force you to sell it to me for $1, something like that.